Number 10. Shear. While working at a construction site in China's Anhui province, a 47-year-old man sustained a brutal injury that could have ended his life. The man, only identified as Shear, lost his footing and fell from a platform. He then landed on a protruding reinforced steel bar. The metal rod pierced his abdomen from left to right and came out the other side. Shear was unable to move and members of the fire service were called on site. They cut the base of the bar and the worker was rushed to the hospital with the 4-foot piece of metal still in his abdomen. This is a standard practice in such situations in order to prevent blood loss and to reduce the risk of secondary injuries. Amazingly, CT scans revealed that Shear hadn't suffered any critical damage to his internal organs. Today's video was requested by King Gamer 9386. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 9. William BARTRON. Pennsylvania construction worker William BARTRON accidentally cut off his hand while operating a power saw. By the time he arrived at Bethlehem Hospital, the man also had at least a dozen 1-inch nails protruding from his scalp. It was later determined that BARTRON himself had fired the nail gun into his head. According to the police, he was overwhelmed by the pain of losing his hand and had tried to end his ordeal. Fortunately, doctors were able to stabilize his condition, remove the nails and reattach his limb. Number 8. Accident in Manhattan. In May 2014, a construction company was replacing a ruptured water main in midtown Manhattan in New York City. In what was described as a freak occurrence, a 3-foot wide saw blade got detached and went flying across the street. The giant blade was reportedly used for cutting through concrete. It traveled about 100 feet at great speed, hit a tree, and then struck a woman on the sidewalk. The incident was captured on nearby surveillance cameras. The woman was taken to the hospital with a deep gash in her leg, but her condition was otherwise stable. A stop order was issued for the construction project until an investigation could determine how the blade had broken loose. Number 7. Patrick Lawler. For roughly a week, construction worker Patrick Lawler had been complaining to his wife about a severe toothache. He'd tried ice and painkillers, but couldn't ease the pain. Lawler went to the dentist, where an X-ray revealed a 4-inch nail which had plunged into his brain. The man thought that the doctors were joking, and he had no idea how the piece of metal ended up embedded in his skull. It seems that a nail gun backfired on him while he was working in a ski resort town in the Colorado mountains. The power tool fired a nail into a piece of wood nearby. Unbeknownst to Lawler, a second nail had shot through the roof of his mouth, barely missing his right eye. Neurosurgeons successfully removed the object from his brain and commented on how lucky he'd been. They'd reportedly told Lawler, if you're going to have a nail in the brain, that's the way you want it to be. Before we move on, official They Will Kill You merchandise is now available at theywillkillyou.com. It's out of this world. Number 6. Sanjay Behi. 21-year-old Sanjay Behi was doing repair work at a site in Balaghat, central India, when he fell down a well. The construction worker landed head first on an iron rod which speared through his head. It pierced his skull on the right temporal region of his brain and came out the left frontal region. Behi was taken to the hospital where he entered a critical state of hypertension. Doctors gave him blood and operated for an hour and a half to remove the rod from his head. The surgery was performed with caution to avoid causing damage to surrounding tissue. In the end, the metal rod was taken out safely with little bleeding and no complications. His main venous sinus to the brain was preserved by less than an inch. Behi was expected to make a full recovery, and he was also given treatment to avoid meningitis, a common occurrence with such injuries. Number 5. Sergio Cruz. In 2019, one construction worker was killed and 4 others were injured while working at a construction site at the University of California, San Diego. A 35-foot wall of metal from a future high-rise on the campus had collapsed. The massive steel frame caught worker Sergio Cruz and crushed his head. He was taken to SCRIPPS Memorial Hospital, where he was later pronounced dead. It's still unclear what had caused the solid rebar columns to bend over like blades of grass, as one witness put it. The incident took place in 2019, and in the past decade, the company operating the site has been involved in 13 other investigations. Number 4. Petra Novotny's. Czech woman Petra Novotny's was scalped and had pieces of her face peeled off while working with a powerful electric drill. The mother of 4 had been using the power tool with her hair in a ponytail. At some point, the rotating device caught a few strands of hair and got wrapped around it. The drill then pulled the rest of Novotny's hair and jerked her face forward. As it continued to spin, it peeled back the skin in a straight line from the top of her nose and eyes over to the back of the head. Novotny's was basically scalped by the power tool and also had her eyebrows and eyelids ripped off. Her cries alerted the neighbors, and the woman was taken to a hospital in critical condition. Almost half her skull had been left exposed. The mangled remains of her scalp couldn't be reattached, so doctors operated immediately using skin grafts from her arms and legs. The operation took almost 9 hours and was ultimately successful. Novotny's would be left with a scar across her face from ear to ear. Had doctors not operated so quickly and effectively, she could have died or been left severely disfigured. Number 3. Guillermo Barrason Escapre. In 2018, Guillermo Barrason Escapre was working on an elevator at a site in Zamboanga City in the Philippines. He was tasked with dismantling the elevator at a mall that was under construction. As he was preparing to do so, the 38-year-old worker didn't notice the counterweight that was hanging above him. He cut the elevator's cable line, and the 1,100-pound weight fell on his body. Escapre was cut in half and died instantly. Number 2. Impaled worker. A Chinese construction worker miraculously survived after a rebar shot through his backside and into his chest. The incident took place in 2018 and has been described as one of the most horrific construction site accidents in recent years. The unnamed man had fallen 6 feet from a platform and became impaled on the protruding 31-inch metal rod. According to one of the doctors who'd subsequently operated on him, 3/4 of the rebar had plunged into his body through his buttock. The bar stopped inside his chest cavity. While doctors did manage to stabilize the worker's condition, he'd suffered damage to several internal organs, including one of his lungs. Number 1. Ron Hunt. Ron Hunt was standing on a 6-foot ladder and drilling overhead at a site in Truckee, California. At one point, he pushed the drill too hard and the ladder started wobbling under his feet. As he fell, Hunt tried to follow standard procedure and dropped the power tool that was still in his hand. Unfortunately, he was unable to throw it far away enough and landed face first on an 18-inch long, 1.5-inch thick drill bit. It pierced through his right eye socket and came out the back of his head. Commenting on the accident, Hunt only remembers thinking, "Am I going to die?" Another worker found him skewered on the drill and wrapped a shirt around his head and the drill to stop the bleeding. Hunt was airlifted to a medical center in Reno, Nevada. Miraculously, the drill bit had pushed his brain aside rather than through it, which spared the worker from brain damage, paralysis, or a gruesome death. Instead of cutting the drill bit off, doctors determined that the safer approach was to unscrew it from the man's skull. Hunt ultimately survived the accident but lost an eye and had titanium plates inserted to fix his fractured skull. Thanks for watching. Be sure to click on one of the links on your screen for more videos.